September 14th, 2016. Quick update, guys. The eye of the storm is moving offshore, and the danger of that is the large amount of cloud activity you see wrapping around it, and it's moving back into the Gulf Stream. Look at the feeder bands going back down towards Florida. They cover the entire state. We'll back this thing out and look at the different radars. You've got 3 feeder bands on the bottom, just like 3 long fingers. We'll pull it up and slow it down, and they're wrapping around into this entire storm. Here's the problem. They're saying it's going to loop out, stay a tropical depression, loop back in around Monday, and come back in close to the same area. Now, this is one of the main tracks. And then go back, and as it comes offshore, be a low pressure at that point. This thing could sit out there for a couple days, but here on the radar, look at the moisture stacking up in the north right quadrant. That's always the worst part of the hurricane. You've got almost the entire coast of South Carolina wrapped up from this morning. If you count this morning, you do. Now you're starting to see it, guys, in North Carolina. Everyone's gotten their share all through Georgia and everyone else. But now that center of circulation has moved offshore. At the end of the video, we're going to look again at the latest models of this warm Gulf Stream, and you'll see exactly why the storms formed over land, which is not, I think it was the first tropical storm to ever form over land. I've seen hurricanes form over the peninsula back when Katrina came in, but here's your what they're calling the official National Hurricane Center tracking. And that green line shows a loop. If you look at it, it loops back in, and by Monday at 2 p.m., the winds are back on shore, the furthest to the left at 30 miles an hour. The rest are tropical storm points. You go out Thursday, that's tomorrow, then Friday, then it loops back in on Saturday, Sunday, Monday comes in. Now, that's that green loop that you see, the very tiny green line under the tropical storm symbol. Other models show it going out, others show it covering back in. One shows it slamming back into the northeast coast of Florida. But look at the amount of moisture that it has available. The storm is in the top right. It's pulling all these feeder bands over Florida. The Gulf is very warm already. We've got the little storm we've been watching setting out there. They're keeping an eye on it. This is Folly Beach, South Carolina. And again, this reminds me of the way that it looked before Tropical Storm Hermine became Hurricane Hermine as a Cat 1 as it came over Florida. And a lot of people, they didn't put it on mainstream much, but there was a lot of damage as you see people surfing here. But the webcams are all along that coastline, and we keep adding them to the website. Here's your NOAA wind map. You've got the storm off Africa. You've got Ian in the North Atlantic that's going to curve up and to the right. And you can see that Julia is spinning very fast off the South Carolina coast. It's pulling in tons of moisture across the Florida Peninsula and south of there. Now we're starting to also get wrapped in the Gulf of Mexico on the small storm that won't quit. And that's going to end up causing some flooding rain in Texas before it's all over and said. But this is today's images as I'm doing it, of the heat in the water. Notice this, off the South Carolina coast, the eye is just starting to get into that section of the Gulf Stream as it moves north. The Gulf Stream is doing some unusual things since the Fukushima earthquake. Right now, it's not circulating around the entire Gulf. You've got currents that are looping, and that particular loop right there is where the small storm is now. We've talked about that earlier in the week when we'd show that temperature built up into the that section of the Gulf. But here, turning on the currents, you can see how they're moving north and not through the Gulf. That's why there's a lot of problems with the fisheries and things like that. A lot changed on the day that we had that, again, the Fukushima earthquake. But, guys, we're watching this. You can see that right now the hottest section on this side of the planet is off South America. Right there, extremely heated water. And it's working its way right into that section of Africa. If you watch each tiny ripple as it goes through there where the hurricanes come off that African coast. But, guys, we're watching this. It's a heads up. I'm very concerned that this storm is going to become a Category 1 overnight, not remain a tropical storm. we will see if it's setting there over that Gulf Stream at daylight. When the sun comes up and hits the top of those clouds, it will form even faster. But now that it's wrapped up, it's moving offshore, it's moving back under those large clouds. It's going to be hard to tell, but the infrared and the radars tonight will be the one to watch. All of the links are on the website, guys. It's a heads up. Be safe.